Food is one of our favorite topics on Consider This program, but the sandwich generation has nothing to do with food. It has to do with the squeeze you are likely feeling now or may feel in the future. It's when you're possibly helping your adult-aged parents, helping your adult-aged children, and helping your grandchildren all simultaneously. Life comes at us quickly. There are many, many challenges that are out there. We're going to talk about on Consider This program some strategies to help alleviate some of the pressure and things that you need to be aware of. Well, good morning and welcome back to Consider This program. I'm your host, Joe Clark.
And I'm Jamie Burton.
Hey, we are talking about midlife planning issues today. And, you know, it's one of those big things out there is the sandwich generation. Jamie, what in the world is a sandwich generation? Because we're not going to McDonald's like we used to.
Right. Yeah. So when we talk about the sandwich generation, what we are seeing is that these families that we take care of, they're coming in and they are having the responsibility of their time and also a lot of times of their assets, having to take care of their aging parents who can no longer take care of themselves. And then also we may see that their adult children are moving home or they're having to start financially supporting some of their grandkids. So this is the sandwich generation is where you thought you saved all these assets for yourself, but now you're having to use them to support maybe your aging parents and then also your adult kids or grandkids.
We had two people in our two families out of 5 in our life group that are both raising grandkids. Mm-hmm. This is and if that's your experience, God bless you. Do not feel like you're alone. This is a common type process, but it's, Jamie talked about time and money. So it's, I always teach people about resources. Resources are time that's limited, money that's limited, but energy is really, really limited. And the older we get, the more that it pulls, and so one of the quick strategies that I will tell you as we're going into this is do the best to enjoy life as early and often as you can. I'll watch people that are 50 or 55 and say, well, I'll take this trip when I'm 65 and I retire, and I'm looking at their 80-year-old parents, right, going, let's review here, Houston, because remember, we are not living that much longer as people. It's just more and more of us are living longer. So the probability that you're going to have a parent, that you've got to take care of, or the challenges with a kid or a grandchild are sadly increasing. Mm-hmm. Back to you, kid.
Yep. So when we're talking to these families that are coming in, we want to make sure that they have a vision going forward of what their life might look like now. If they are really in charge of taking care of financially their aging parents or having to take the time to run them to doctor's appointments or to do rehab and that sort of thing, what's your vision for how you're going to maybe take a step back and make sure that you're spending some of your time for yourself and really doing the things that you need to enjoy to also enjoy your retirement and not just be solely focused on what's going on at hand today? And then, if you're taking care of your adult children and maybe their kids, your grandkids, what is the vision for them going forward? Is there a way that you can help them see what their future can be? And is there a way that you can help them get there to achieve those goals, to maybe get out of the house if they've moved back in, or finish college if that's what they're going through right now and not being able to be out of the house and afford it that way? What's the vision for them and how can you help them reach those goals?
And I think it's imperative that you talk to your spouse about this because it's, again, we've talked about the double curse of knowledge. I don't know what I don't know, but I don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. If Jamie's convinced, or in my case, it's me and Barb, if Barb is adamant that we're going to take care of her mom and dad, and I can tell you after 33 years of marriage, we have never discussed it. Not once, right? Now, I love her mom and dad. 82 years old, still as busy as most people that I know that are 50. It hadn't happened yet, but, we, if one of us thought, well, we're going to continue to golf on Saturdays, right? Or go on vacations for a month at a time, or, as we moved into retirement, and the other spouse thought, nope, we're going to have house guests. That is a conversation that you need to have ahead of time. And that's really where the vision comes into play. Mm-hmm. And I would address it from all 3 of those resources: time, energy, right, and money. Just because you're taking care of your adult-aged parents doesn't mean they're broke. right? Hiring people to come into your house to be able to do things is not just cheap, but it's hard to find that right person that mixes with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a very good point, because what we know is that money can be a very taboo subject to talk about. And if you get to the point where you are going to have to start taking care of your aging parents, but you really have no clue what their financial situation looks like, you don't know what the assets they have accumulated or what debts that they have that they still need to pay off. If you don't have a good picture of that, then you can really start getting into some trouble. And if you get to that point and you find out that they don't really have any assets saved up or any plan for the future, that can really start affecting your retirement and what you have done in order to get to this point to be able to retire. And you thought you were going to live a certain lifestyle, and now that's going to have to totally change, and you're going to have to come up with a strategy based around that now. So in that case, they didn't have the money. But the other one, and we've had John Braddock on the show with My Life and Wishes, and the doc from Careful, as ways to try to track resources and inappropriate spending habits and things like that of your parents. But the energy that you can go through trying to track down, right? I'm never going to, when people worked at General Motors, many of the execs had $1 million life insurance policies. We're talking about the early 90s. But they're term policies. Most of them got canceled when people retired or, at different stages in life. And I never could cure a relationship when a son came in, saw the $1 million policy, and was sure that we had used the money and made bad investments. And, and it took Metropolitan sending him a letter going, this policy was canceled. This date, no payment was ever made. And it still never really got, 'cause you just go, the loss of a parent, you just go through this energy, right? And, when you're trying to track down, I know mom and dad had more money than this. And you got bank accounts everywhere and investments everywhere. The sooner you can have these conversations, the better off you're going to be. Yeah. So when we get to the point where we see that a family is having to take care of some of their adult children or of their aging parents, we really have to focus on what is their need going to be going forward. Are they going to have to start living off of some of the assets that they have accumulated? And is the way that they have their assets structured right now, does that really make sense for what they're going to need going forward? If they're going to have to start pulling out more money than what they expected, well, then maybe we have to revisit one of the 5 critical elements of the investment playbook. Their investments probably don't make sense at that point because their retirement plan has totally changed. So now we have to revisit how we should be investing their assets based on this new information of what they're going to need out of their assets in retirement.
And the other part of that's a legacy plan, right? That's the 5th critical element. I always talk to you guys on this show about the 3 phases of life, right? You've heard me talk about the 3 phases of finance: accumulation, preservation, and distribution. The 3 of life, as you go into distribution, though, are where things are normal, where you're able to take care of your own issues today, and then a period of time where you die. But in the middle, there's another sandwich, and that's where you need somebody to help take care of you, right? So my passion really is to help them with that middle segment. But I will tell you, this is one of those times when if you find yourself amidst a sandwich generation where you really need to look at your legacy planning documents, figure out what's left and how it's left for your grandchildren or your children if you've got problems. Many times when people are taking care of their grandkids, it's because there's a substance abuse or a problem, with the child. And again, I've done this for 33 years. I've seen great kids with bad parents and bad parents with great kids, right? So it's you don't take any of this personally or emotionally, but that doesn't mean you don't have to plan for it, right? And if you're taking care of your 10-year-old, and it's because your son or your daughter are off doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and yet your son and daughter are the beneficiary, this is not a good plan.
Yes.
Right? And it happens often, many times more than people think it does. You really, none of us want to talk about the day we're going to go. Typically, most of us don't want to talk about that. But at the same time, not having that plan, if you've invested your resources, time, energy, and money in a grandchild or something like that, this is something that you need to address.
Yeah, and one of the other 5 critical elements that we touch on is life happens. So the good, bad, and the ugly of life. If you find yourself raising a grandkid and you're getting to that retirement age, that life happens. It really changes. It shifts because now you have this young grandchild that you're raising coming up, and now you might see other financial worries that you're going to have to start taking care of. And, once they get to a certain age and you have to pay for daycare or their college expenses or maybe down the road a wedding, that really changes what your retirement's going to look like and the whole life happens segment of things going on. So just being able to sit down and reevaluate what that could really look like and make a plan around that could really be a make or break for your retirement.
This is critical stuff, folks, and it's again, an ounce of planning is worth a pound of prevention, or however that old statement goes. I never did get it right, but but seriously, take the time to do a little bit of planning today. You will be very, very happy with at least being prepared. You may not be happy with the outcome. I will tell you, just because you're prepared for, market volatility doesn't make it any happier. Mm-hmm. You just have a disciplined plan to be able to deal with it as opposed to panic, right? When you get that 2:00 in the morning phone call, it's never going to be a good one. But the more you can have it thought out, prepared for, the better off you're going to be. Mm-hmm. There's a whole series of checklists. I like the word slew. I think Jamie likes the word taboo. But anyhow, there's a whole slew of checklists that are on our website at yourlifeafterwork.com. You can go there. You can call 800-928-4001. If you're going through life happens, and like Jamie said, it's the good, it's the bad, and it's the ugly. Mm-hmm. But if you're going through something like that, it's worth a phone call to us to say, hey, team at Financial Enhancement Group, have you ever gone through this? And the probability of me taking care of more than 2,000 families the last 33 years, 1,077 currently, the probability is we've been through this and we have a checklist and we can help. Give us a call at 800-928-4001 or go to yourlifeafterwork.com. While you're there, get signed up for your Next Steps meeting. We look forward to meeting you soon. 800-928-4001.